All right, let's try this one. Oh, that works. Thank you, Connie, for that introduction. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here next to Frank and to be here with all of you today. It's been quite a journey. Yes, I am in a new role. I'm in an acting role, leading the Technology Transformation Services, which is part of the Federal Acquisition Service at GSA, General Services Administration. Lots of acronyms. I am currently acting as the Deputy Commissioner for FAS, working closely with Commissioner Alan Thomas, and also the Acting Director for the Technology Transformation Services. We have incredible leadership at GSA. Administrator Emily Murphy and Commissioner Thomas really have been huge champions for TTS, for the work that we do, ensuring that our work continues and that we have what we need to keep making a difference. We are looking for a permanent director. I'm acting, as I mentioned, and I have been with this organization for 8 years. I came in on a tour of duty to serve for an original 4. I did leave at the end of my term, and I missed it so much that I had to come back. So I'm about to complete my second 4-year term, which is just incredible testament to the fact that this works, and bringing in talent externally to come in and serve is not only near and dear to my heart, but something that I'm super passionate about. And I feel so fortunate every day that we have the talent and the creative team that we have in TTS. We're about 275 strong. TTS has evolved into quite an organization. We are now comprised of the Presidential Innovation Fellows program, which I'm sure you all have heard about and was codified into law now, which is excellent. We have 18F, which I know you all have probably heard quite a bit about over the 4 years. That organization is fantastic and has really evolved from a startup to more of an institution in government, and really having record demand and incredible results in the work that they're doing across the federal government and state and local governments right now. We have our newest, the Centers of Excellence, which I know you all have also heard a lot about. And I think we'll talk a little bit more about that later. We also have what used to be the Office of Citizen Services and Innovative Technologies. It's currently the Office of Products and Programs, and that's where we have a lot of our good for government appropriated budget programs like FedRAMP and Challenge.gov and digital engagement programs and things like that. So that's a little bit about TTS and my role right now.
I'm glad it was that you love public service and not because you hated working with me that you came back to government.
Not at all.
So Centers of Excellence is kind of one of the leading initiatives for this administration in tech right now. Give us the overview of where we're at. You guys were embedded in one federal agency, USDA, right now currently in the second phase of a 2-phase program to sort of modernize several areas in the agency that as it relates to technology, customer experience, that sort of thing. You recently started doing this in a second agency now, starting the process over. I want to sort of get where you're at and what's different this time around. So maybe you can illuminate for us.
Sure. So I'm assuming that folks know what COEs mean. It's the Centers of Excellence, and it's an initiative that was launched last year by my predecessor, Joanne Collins-Smee, and really through a partnership with the White House Office of American Innovation, who is still fabulous partners today. It launched in USDA originally, and that was before it was officially part of TTS at GSA. It started as the concept of government to government. So we have 5 centers of excellence partnered with industry in 5 mission areas that are going to go into an agency and look holistically at modernizing IT. So those 5 centers are cloud adoption, we have infrastructure optimization, contact centers, customer experience, and data analytics. And so those are the current 5 that we have. We broke it up into phases. Phase 1 was really intended to be the strategy. Phase 2, implementation. And there are different sets of vendors for each of those phases. We're currently in phase 2 at USDA. We just completed the phase 1 strategy. And those vendors are now moving over to our second agency, which we recently announced, which is HUD. And then the phase 2, which is really intended to implement the strategy that phase 1 outlined, those folks are kicking off this week at USDA. I think we've learned a lot at USDA. It's been an incredible effort. The leadership, the way that the leadership has come together in that agency is really what is making this right now. Gary Washington, the CIO, has been an incredible partner. The Secretary Perdue has been a huge champion for this effort all across USDA. They did an internal talent search in the beginning to really get folks on board and engage employees to understand, the art of the possible and what, how they could evolve. And Gary will probably talk about this later, but he's talked a lot about culture change. And in just the last several months, taking a team that's basically saying, I don't understand what it is you want me to do, I'm not sure I want to do this, to a few months later, this is exciting, I want to be part of this, how can I help? How can I help with this modernization effort? And just the shift in spirit has really been incredible to watch. I think moving forward, we are kicking off with HUD, and you'll hear from our new partner, David Chow, later. He's got incredible energy and really great ideas. I feel very good about this engagement. We did learn a few things on the ground while we were at USDA, and we are incorporating those as we move into HUD. One of those was we really need to understand and have a little bit better framework and direction and definition of what it is we want to do in phase 1. You can't just dive into building strategy. So now that the COEs are part of TTS, we decided let's take this opportunity to better integrate as an organization and start with 18F. So 18F is going in to do a discovery sprint to really define the path that we should take. They are doing a deep dive to help us frame really where the highest impact will be with HUD, and that will help ensure that the strategy that's built in phase 1 is something that we can effectively move forward and execute as we move into implementation. So that's just one example of how now all of these components in TTS are really working together to move forward this really diverse solution and skill set through the Centers of Excellence. We'll also be incorporating Presidential Innovation Fellows and other products and programs that have started over the last couple of years.
As far as timing, how much does that change? Does it help for a smoother process? And how many folks do you think from 18F will have to go in there and sort of ascertain what needs to be done? I feel like each agency would be different, right?
Yeah, each agency is different. And actually, David's been talking too about how, we have the same 5 mission areas, but his intention in using them is different than USDA's, which is great. I love that we're able to kind of take the structure and mold it to exactly what the agency's needs are. I think in terms of timing, there is going to be a cadence of moving into new agencies about every 6 months. So that means we'll be announcing Agency 3 in the spring, which is exciting.
Do you know who it is?
I do not know who it is.
So you can't tell us.
I cannot tell you.
Definitely tell us.
I cannot tell you. No, it's. I think what's incredible right now is that yes, we are only GSA Centers of Excellence are only in 2 agencies. However, you're seeing across the board with, Vicki Hildebrand at Transportation, with Maria Road at SBA, they are doing the same thing, which is incredible. They are launching their own modernization initiatives in an enterprise fashion. It looks and feels a lot like what we're doing. We are fully supportive of that.
And it's basically a cut and paste job from what you guys have tried to do, right? It's just...
cut and paste, I think it's just the evolution of where we are today. These agencies need this. They need these modern practices. We're perfectly positioned to be able to partner with them on this. We're integrating our, the private sector expertise that we're bringing in through TTS. We're partnering with industry, which I think is great. We're not trying to build everything ourselves. That doesn't work. We've tried that. We are trying to help them find the best path, acquisition-wise, design-wise, even business process-wise. What should we be doing differently to actually truly modernize? And then part of this integrated team, now that we're part of FAST, the Federal Acquisition Service, has been critical because most of the process is broken at the acquisition layer, right? And so we've really been able to infuse a different way of buying technology.
And speaking of acquisition, not to belabor the point, but if things don't go well, I mean, the same contractors that get the contracts for phase 1 and 2 in these COE efforts, they continue to move along, right? So you'd have the first agency, then the second agency. If any are underperforming or not doing a good job, you guys have the authority to say, okay, we're going to go a different way or not invite someone back so that government doesn't repeat past mistakes if that's indeed an issue, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, just
so,
checking.
yeah, we're definitely, there's oversight. The contractors, you know, they're producing reports. We're doing playbooks, after action things. We're definitely all in sync on what the expectations are in terms of delivery and performance.
So perform or get out. On another note that I've been watching, you guys are doing some pretty cool work with the Defense Department, and that's something that previously I don't remember TTS or GSA doing a whole lot more with, except for maybe some acquisition stuff. So talk about some of the cool programs or projects that you guys are starting to work on now.
Sure. So yes, we are. I think even just bringing it up a level, yes, we've done pockets of work with DoD through the years. Right now, if you're looking TTS-wide, we are pretty much working with every single agency across our enterprise, which is wonderful. All of those different engagements look and feel different, different scopes. But in terms of DoD, they have a lot of needs, yes. They have DIU, which used to be DIU-X, which is now DIU, showing that they are here to stay as well. We are starting to partner with them. We are going to be bridging the Presidential Innovation Fellows, some of our team members there, with the DIU team, who is now led by someone fabulous that used to be a Presidential Innovation Fellow. So we're starting to bridge across these different groups that are really all here to try to do the same thing. Some of that work is also centered around the Air Force. That's newer work. It's been discussed. There was an article about it in Fast Company magazine recently.
It's another Star Wars acronym.
Kessel Run, yes.
You guys have heard of Jedi. I think the Defense Department comes out with a lot of Star Wars related stuff these days. This is another one.
Yeah, so they're moving things forward in a modern way. They just announced their PEO digital initiative, and Kessel Run is really kind of that internal software factory. They're trying to hire the best and brightest. We're helping them with that. They're looking at using some of our cloud platforms, and we're partnering with them on some other exciting work that I can't quite talk about yet. We are also currently working with the Marines on a really interesting project that is tied to their logistics technology systems and helping them think through really the future of that and how do you open up data, how to use APIs, how are these systems talking to each other, and truly digitizing things, modernizing things. That's a very exciting project that's currently going on that you will probably hear more about coming soon. Other than that, we've done Navy and Army, but we are very excited about the fact that we are starting to partner more with DoD.
Are they coming to you, or do you have to go to, I mean, how does this dynamic work? Do they say, we have this thing we're trying to do, can you help us? How does that dialogue occur?
A little bit of both. So the demand is certainly strong. We're trying to keep up with it. We're trying to work on projects that we know we can have a big impact on. We don't take everything that comes in. There's a lot of groups like ours out there. I just had an amazing meeting with USDS yesterday. We're going to start trying to work better together. I'm a connector. I'm a problem solver. I know we're all here for the same purpose. All of these sort of startups in government that are really trying to modernize and just help make government better. But we are starting to connect the dots across them, which I think is really only going to benefit everyone.
So a couple of years ago, TTS 18F specifically came under some scrutiny from the GAO. There was a lengthy audit done that had said you guys were significantly in the red. The workforce was too big. What's changed in the last couple of years here? And talk about whether or not you guys have addressed those issues.
Sure. Yep. That was 2 years ago. That 2 years ago feels like a lifetime ago. We were a completely different organization at that time. We were not part of FAS. We have had changes, and business was ebbing and flowing. I will say that we have corrected everything in that report. Our financial controls are on point. The demand, our business pipeline, the volume is what I think at record levels right now. I can't give numbers, but on the 11th day of FY19, we are almost halfway to our goal, which is, again, just demonstrating the value, the interest. Obviously hiring is another thing that we can talk about, but just keeping up with this is probably the biggest challenge is around talent. But in terms of 18F as an organization, in terms of TTS as an organization, incredibly strong. I would say stronger than I've ever seen it. And not just because of the financials, but because of the fact that we've finally brought all of these organizations together as one TTS. And they are all functioning in alignment and partnership, and all very complementary of each other. So it just makes sense. And it just makes sense actually in the form of COEs that we're able to use that as a mechanism for delivery.
When work comes in, do you guys have a board that makes the decisions on what's feasible, what we should do, what we shouldn't do? How do you make the decision on whether to take business or not?
So we have an agency partnerships council, and it's comprised of folks across TTS, across FAS. We just invited USDS to participate. We're open to people across government. We want to look holistically at where the biggest need is and what makes the most sense. Who should be tackling this together? Who should be partnering together? This is a relatively new effort. We just launched this council a few months ago, but it is the first time where we've actually formally tried to connect the dots on big opportunities and link it up kind of with expertise across the board to ensure that we are making good investments and decisions with where we should work.
One thing I want to talk about is workforce. So we have been doing some reporting, going through OPM data on the level, I guess on the age of IT workers in government. And you can sift through that data and find agency by agency demographics on who their tech employees are. And I think the government is right around 6 IT workers over the age of 60 for every one under the age of 30. And in going out and sort of breaking that data down, you see some agencies like VA, it's 19 to 1, so 19 over 60 for every one under 30. So there's some serious hiring challenges. Unless you believe that having an older IT workforce is a good thing, which VA told us that they did think that was good because they're more experienced, but I'm not sure that's always the case. How are you guys addressing hiring people in? I assume that you must be hiring some, because if you guys are doing all the COE work, you're embedding your own staff with these agencies for at least 6 to 12 months, correct?
Yes.
So how are you handling workforce right now?
So I think workforce is certainly a challenge for everyone. We are the federal government, and you have to appeal at a different level. I think, the younger folks, they are not all driven by money and Silicon Valley and things like that. There are a lot, but, we have to have a different draw. We have to, talk about impact, and they want to have impact at scale. And there's so many opportunities to come in and serve and do that. I think organizations like Coding It Forward, that's run out of a really great student group out of Harvard. I've met with them. We've partnered with them. They are experiencing tremendous growth and interest, which I love that. I think it really workforce starts with who we currently have on our team. Because if you look across all of these groups, PIF, 18F, USDS, that alumni network of the people that have come in to serve over the last couple of years, those are your biggest champions, and those are your most effective recruiters, honestly. So ensuring that the folks that you have on board today, and you're really focused on building a diverse culture that truly reflects, the diverse public that we serve, that's a huge priority of mine. I would say across GSA, that helps. That's helping to build sort of that pipeline of younger talent. not just younger talent, but talent across the board, really, just trying to pull folks in that have this expertise that the government so desperately needs.
What are some of the skill sets you're looking for nowadays, as opposed to, say, 5 to 10 years ago when you started there?
So everything is user-centered. And I know you hear that word everywhere, but that is actually, it's very simple. And it's designing around the user. It's a lot of the engagements that we're starting, they're systems that were built without even talking to a user, without even thinking about what that experience is like for a user. That's why so much of this is broken. So folks that understand human-centered design, user-centered approaches to really anything, developers, we are looking for a lot of strategists because we are doing a lot of that upfront discovery work. We are also doing a lot more training and capacity building across agencies in terms of how do you move to digital, how do you modernize, how do you design with a user-first mentality. So that's really critical and kind of where our niche is right now.
Did you guys experience, I remember sort of reporting on this after the election happened, a lot of folks said, oh, these Obama-era initiatives will die. People won't want to come into government anymore. They won't do these tours of duty. They won't support, et cetera. Do you think that you guys experienced that? And if so, how have you mitigated those challenges?
I don't think I have not experienced that. I think, yeah, there was certainly chatter about that, but I have not seen that actually happen. We have great interest. What we're experiencing is that we're about 4 years old. And so when you're talking 4-year terms, we have a lot of people that are terming out right now, which is kind of heartbreaking because they've been such talented members of the team. So we're kind of going through this wave. We had probably 20 people start in the last month, which is exciting. But we also have the point where there are folks that really want to stay. So they get the end of their 4-year term.
Nobody wants to stay working for you, dude.
No, they get to the end of their 4-year term, they're like, but I really want to stay in government. But, they can't. Or they could try and come back later like I did. But, I think we're just at a point where it's here to stay. It's been reinforced by this administration, by the need. The need has not gone away. We have not fixed everything. We have to keep doing this.
Where do you get people from, I guess? Not everyone wants to relocate to here or San Francisco. Are you guys hiring in other places
Exactly.
now?
They don't have to. They don't have to be here. The COE work is a little different. That is more on-site because you're embedded in an agency and there is an expectation that you're there pretty much every day. That's really critical to trying to manage the change in the agency and really establish a new culture and really feel like a partner. Just because it's a little bit different. Some of the digital tools and digital things that we're working on, we have people all over the country. We are a very distributed workforce, very mobile workforce. There is no requirement that you have to be in DC for a lot of this work. So that has been helpful in being able to meet people where they are.
All right. So lastly, I guess in this administration, we see that not a lot gets done without support. What's the engagement like with you, with the White House folks now, Office of American Innovation, where they kind of came up with the COE effort in the first place? What's that interaction like, and what is the feedback that you've had so far in your tenure now?
Honestly, that partnership is so strong. I worked really closely with the last administration, and the best thing about this is everyone is supportive of it. There's really no political issues. It crosses boundaries. Everyone is supportive of the fact that government needs to be better at digital. They need to modernize IT. We need talented workforce. I mean, they are so supportive. You've heard Suzette Kent out talking about it, and Margaret, and you've heard Emily Murphy, and you've heard Matt Lira, and Chris Liddell. I mean, we're all in sync on it. The time is now. I've watched the evolution over the last 15, 20 years. And I do feel like all resources, all investment are here right now. And it's really neat to watch the momentum that's happening.
Okay. That brings us about to the end of our time. When are they going to announce your replacement? Do they have a time for that?
I don't know.
Well, it sounds like
I would say maybe in the next couple months.
all right. So you're doing
But
more than
I'm not
keeping
sure.
the seat warm in the interim.
Keeping the seat warm.
Good.
No, I'm just kidding. No.
All right.
But I'm here to stay.
Good deal.
So,
well, hope
got a
you
great
guys stay
team.
around for a little while longer. We have a couple more panels to come up, and thanks for your time, Kevin.
Okay. Thank you.
Good to see you.